2, 3, go.
Hello, good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing? Happy Cinco de Mayo. I am Jacqueline. I'm the nutrition program coordinator here at the Westport Center for Senior Education.
Jacqueline, can you talk to the phone more?
Yes.
Very good. Much better.
Can you hear me? All right. So today we are going to make my mother's recipe for guacamole. And in every area of Mexico, it's slightly different, actually. Even the ingredients used, I know some of them may include garlic, or they add different spices, but this is my mother's traditional recipe. So we're going to get started. I'll actually show the ingredients that we use. So we use tomatoes.
Oh, Jacqueline, can you unmute the phone? Sorry. I threw it there. I'm gonna spotlight this, okay?
Okay.
Okay, go ahead and look.
So we use tomatoes, just a bit, cilantro, and this is a specific type of cilantro. There's two types. There is the big leaf cilantro. This is the smaller leaf, baby cilantro, so it has more flavor. You could use red onion, or this is white onion here. Limes, of course. It has to be limes, not lemons. Limes have a lot more flavor for the guac. And a little bit of salt. And then, of course, your avocados, semi-ripe avocados. You don't want them to be too ripe. And actually, on our handout that I created that will go with the bags today, I included some tips inside on how to pick the perfect avocado. So there are 7 tips here, and I can actually show you. So it's usually, if it's firm to the touch, it's ripe. You could also remove the little stem at the bottom, and if it's green, as you can see there, then it's ripe. So those are just some little tips. And then textured avocado, so you might see some bumps on them. That's perfectly fine. Some of them might be slightly darker than others, so I'm not sure if you're able to see, but this one's darker than this one, and that is also not indicative of ripeness. It's really just the firmness to the touch of the avocado. Okay, so to make this, it's actually really simple. It's more of the method that you do, because it's not really just about combining all the ingredients. So what we do is I'm going to add about a 1/4 cup of the tomatoes. Let me start with the veggies. And then I'm going to do the 1/4 cup of cilantro. And then the 1/4 cup of onion, and the recipe is in our handout. Then I'm going to squeeze a whole lime into here. So I'm just going to squeeze the whole thing.
That's a lot of lime juice.
It is a lot of lime. And then I'm actually going to add the salt as well in here. About a teaspoon.
How much salt?
Or about a teaspoon.
Okay.
Or so. And I'm just going to mix all of the ingredients together.
So I find a problem when I make guacamole, Jacqueline, I put too much salt in it.
Too much salt?
Yeah.
So this is actually the trick that I was going to say that my mother uses. So she mixes all of the vegetables, as you can see there. with the lime and the salt, and she lets it sit for like 5 minutes or so. And so the veggies are what get all the flavor, and it really concentrates and like marinates almost. So once it's ready for the avocado, you no longer need to add more salt or more lime because everything is in the veggies already. So it's really important that you let it sit for a few minutes. So I just combine it well. And then I just put it to the side. So for our avocados, I'm going to use 2 avocados for the proportions that we use for the vegetables. So how I cut my avocados, which I know is another frequently asked question, is I just cut them in half, slice it right through the middle. And let me just show you, this is like a perfectly ripe avocado. Okay. And the seed, you can just, I usually take a knife and just kind of twist it a bit. Great. Or you could just try to grab it.
I usually grab a big knife.
Yeah, grab a big knife too. Or a spoon, and you could just kind of scoop it out too. And then I take one of the halves and like a small paring knife, and I just start, and you need to be careful with this because the skin is so thin, you could almost place it on your cutting board, and I'm just slicing it down. So I'll show you. I just make little slices down, and then I make them across. So just making little chunks. And this makes it a lot easier for when you go ahead and mix the avocado and mush it together. I'm going to do the same with the other half. Has anyone made avocado before?
Yeah, we make, so Trader Joe's used to sell bags with the avocado, garlic, onion, and everything mixed together. I wish they still do that. I don't know why they don't.
So the Trader Joe's has the garlic in there, right? They add garlic to there? Yeah.
Correct.
We don't add garlic to ours, but. So this is the other one, perfectly ripe. Right there.
This is one of your first memories of your grandmother?
Yeah. We make this all the time with everything, especially when we have barbecues or like carne asada, right? We always have to have guacamole. All right, so I do the same thing with the others. And so now to get it out of the skin, so now that I just use a smaller spoon, and I'm just gonna go under the skin of the avocado, and everything should just pop right up. So I'm going to add that now that this has been sitting for a few minutes. I'm gonna scoop it out onto our bowl.
Can you have an avocado tree in Connecticut? Do you know that question?
Can you? I don't know.
I feel like you have to bring it inside. So maybe so.
Yeah. That would be great. I mean, avocados are usually pretty expensive. So it would be great if we could have a tree. They're very nutritious. Actually, a lot of people didn't know, but avocados are a fruit. they're not a vegetable. Tomatoes are fruits as well. So they are very high in potassium, actually more than bananas, surprisingly. They also help reduce inflammation. They make you feel fuller longer. So I always have, if I have avocados at home, I always have at least half an avocado with my meal because it always fills me up a lot faster. And they do have a lot of calories from fat, but it's healthy fats. So it's always better than eating anything that's fried or processed. So in comparison, avocados are healthy fats, and butter, for example, is also a fat, but it's a saturated fat. So it's unhealthy. It's moderate. So then I usually just start mixing something like this right now. And it also depends if you have a preference for chunky or very smooth guacamole. For us, we usually make it pretty smooth. So sometimes I even use a potato masher, and I will use that to mix all of the ingredients. But I know a lot of people like it very chunky, so that's just personal preference. And if the avocados are ripe enough, it should be pretty easy for you to mush it all together. So if you don't have a potato masher, I usually take a big spoon and just use the back side of it and just kind of press it against the side of the bowl. So that's what I'm doing until I get the texture that I like.
How long does guacamole last for?
Well, this is definitely something that you would want to make right away. If you are taking it over to a friend's house or something and you want to make it in advance, my mother also has another trick for that because avocados tend to go brown, kind of like apples. So what she does is if you have the bowl or container where you have your guacamole, she takes a plastic like saran wrap, and what makes the avocado turn brown is the oxygen in the air. So if you kind of lock it in, it won't turn brown at all. So what you would do is you have your bowl here, just make sure you smooth it all down, and then you take a piece of plastic wrap and you just press it right over the guacamole, make sure there aren't any little bubbles or anything like that, and it's really tight around the sides, and it should be perfectly fine. Keep it in the refrigerator, and once you take it off, sometimes it might be a little layer of brown, but you can just use a spoon and scrape it off, and it will be perfectly fine. It will stay green like this.
Okay, you would never make it the night before. You make it the day of.
The day of, yeah. If you're not going to eat it within like maybe an hour or two, I would suggest you could definitely just put the saran wrap over and it'll be perfectly fine. It'll stay green and flavorful. But we've tried putting it in the refrigerator if you have leftovers, and it's worked out pretty well. There's just a thicker layer of the brown, but you just scrape it right off and it tastes pretty good. So even overnight, it might stay well, but I do suggest making it the day of for sure.
Hey, Jackie, thank you for clearing up the question I had. No matter how much lime juice I put in this thing, it always turns brown on the top. So I'm happy to hear that it even happens to you. Because I thought something was wrong with me.
You learned a guacamole hack. Virginia.
Always has that brown layer on the top. Now I know that I could scrape it off and it's okay. Although I have scraped it off only for my own use, I don't care. But I was having company tonight and I hesitated. I have not made the guacamole. One of my guests is coming and she's bringing it because I said, can't make it without getting that brown on it. So now I feel better. It's not just me, even people that know how to make it get the brown layer. Thank you.
Oh, yes, yeah. But like I said, just if you do have the saran, the plastic saran wrap, definitely use that. Or if you have Ziploc bags, it would be essentially the same thing. You could just
I've done it all.
open it up.
I've tried it all. I put the plastic, I've done the bags, I've
Oh,
together.
okay.
Yeah, I've done it. Oh, I see
Yeah,
the hat
it
is sitting right there.
should be okay. If you
How much tomato was cut up in that?
about a quarter cup,
Okay.
or maybe I would say about half a tomato to one tomato, depending on the size. For the onion, it also depends on the size. Maybe half of a small onion or a quarter of a big onion. And then for the avocados, I usually just use 2, regardless of size. For the lemon, this one was pretty big, so I just used 1. But if they're small, sometimes I might even use up to 2. So it just really depends on how big the vegetables are.
And you know, did your grandmother put like a jalapeno?
Yes. So we
You didn't. You didn't.
I didn't. Where we buy them at like the Mexican grocery market, they are very, very extremely spicy.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to
Personally.
I didn't want to include it in here for dried food because I know it's going to be really spicy. But either way, you could add jalapenos, so the raw jalapenos. What we use are the serranos, they're called. So they're longer and thinner than jalapenos, and they are a little bit spicier too. So yeah, I didn't add any here, but my grandmother usually adds serrano.
One tip I have for the lime is I usually roll it for about 8 seconds.
Yep.
You can throw it in the microwave as well for a couple seconds and then squeeze and you get a lot more out of it.
Yeah, I rolled mine out before we started. This one was actually pretty juicy.
Yeah, that was a lot of juice.
Yeah, it was really juicy. Okay, so
I have a question on the tomato. Do you use a plum tomato or like the cocktail tomato or cherry tomato? Did I miss that?
you could use any type of tomato that you like. Sometimes I even use cherry tomatoes because they're a little bit sweeter than plum. Here I use plum tomatoes. But sometimes, whatever I have at home, sometimes I'll have like those tomatoes on the vine, which are like bigger, or I'll use cherry tomatoes and I'll just dice those up.
What do you use for pico de gallo?
Pico de gallo, I usually use plum tomatoes.
Use the plum tomatoes.
Yeah.
That's what I did, but I made it yesterday and I looked at it this morning. It looked a little bit off, so I threw a couple of cocktail tomatoes in.
Yeah.
I added
So pico de gallo is essentially the same thing as the guacamole, but without the avocados, right?
Should make it the day of.
I use the same method as the guac. I cut up all the vegetables and add the lime and the salt and let it sit for a few minutes, and then it should be ready to go.
So you don't make you make the pico de gallo the same day as well, huh?
Yeah, so it stays fresh.
Yeah.
All right, this one has a few chunks in it, but I'm just gonna leave it like that so it's pretty. Now I'm just going. So here I have these are the original like restaurant style tortilla chips, but to make these tortilla chips, and I didn't bring the tortillas, but you usually just take plain corn tortillas and you would just cut them into little triangles And I have the recipe in here as well for the homemade chips. It would be on this side.
Okay.
And it's just corn tortillas. You cut them in little tiny triangles, place them on a baking sheet.
Right.
Just put some olive oil. You brush with olive oil or oil of your choice, coconut oil even if you prefer, avocado oil, olive oil, canola oil. And then you could sprinkle a little bit of sea salt on top if you like, or just plain.
Sea
And then
salt.
you put them in the oven for 375 degrees for 15 minutes. And they should end up looking pretty crispy like that.
Did you make
And-
those?
No, these are the store-bought chips.
I was gonna say that's very professional. I make my own tortilla chips too for myself, but I've never made it for company. I
Yeah.
bought the Tostitos. Tell the Tostitos are like little cups, right?
Yeah, so they have the triangles or they have the scoops. I think we have,
So what do you call those little cups?
so these are the little
Yes.
scoops.
Oh, the scoops, yeah.
Yeah, those are just called scoops, but they're the same thing, just a different shape.
And what do you use those for?
You could use them for the guac too, or salsa or cheese. You could use them.
Okay.
They're like a
'Cause that's
little cup, right?
Huh?
It holds the cheese or the salsa instead of flying off. So you
Right.
don't have to double dip, right?
That's
You're
what I
able
have.
to get more in.
Yeah, I have that for tonight. Because I don't want
Okay.
spills. I don't want anybody spilling on my sofa.
All right. So, and then
That
for the
looks
chips,
very
the-
good.
the tortilla chips, if you do make them at home and you have seeds, like if you have maybe even sesame seeds or chia seeds or anything like that, you can always sprinkle those on top as well. And it could be like a healthier version of a tortilla chip because you're adding those extra healthy fats in there with seeds, or even flax seeds as well. And I included some pictures on of what they look like if you go to the grocery store. And you just sprinkle those on top. And then for tortillas, for corn tortillas, the most common one is the white corn tortilla, but they also have blue corn, which looks really pretty. You could also use those types of tortillas and you'll get blue chips. I think we have, one of the bags down there. We bought blue corn chips. Okay. So I'm just gonna.
Jackie, have you talked about the difference between the corn tortillas and the flour tortillas? I don't care for the corn tortillas. Which ones are used mostly in Mexico?
Corn.
The corn, that's interesting, yeah.
Definitely corn. I mean, we also have flour tortillas, but corn tortillas are the most common. The most common.
Yeah. Doris, I see you're on here. Which one do you like? Those people that are on here, which maybe Americans have a different taste. I don't know.
Which one do we like?
Yeah. What Doris? Which one do you like?
I don't really have a strong opinion about it, so.
Yeah.
How about you, Jason? What do you like better?
The blue chips. It's in front of the hat, Jackie. If you pull it up in front of the hat.
Oh yeah. So yeah, these are lightly salted.
No, the ones behind that are the blue ones.
These
Yeah.
are the blue
I like those.
corn chips.
So Jason, what you're saying is that those are corn then?
Yeah, they're corn, but I just like the color. More.
So you like
It's
the corn?
corn.
Yeah.
Well, for me, once I know the corn is more authentic, I'd be inclined to choose the corn. That's true.
Yes, definitely. Corn is more authentic. For our quesadillas, though, we do use flour tortillas. But for any other meal, for Cinco de Mayo in Mexico, one of their traditional meals or dishes is mole poblano. So that is usually accompanied by rice and corn tortillas. So any meal like that in Mexico, there always has to be corn tortillas on the side. White corn.
Okay, so to be honest, could you tell me what mole poblano is?
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
just gonna
so-
ask the same question.
Again, that is, they make it different in every single part of Mexico, but how we usually make it is, and there's a picture of it here, but I don't think you'll be able to see it very well. So it's a very dark sauce, as you can
That's that,
see.
that's a mole sauce with a chocolate in it. It's a very complicated.
Yes, it's very time
I
consuming.
decided not to make it, although I love it. But I decided to forget it. It was too much. You have to
You
roast
can-
the peppers. You have to do all kinds of stuff.
Yes, so you can
And where do you
make
get
it using-
and where do you, Jackie? Where do you get Mexican chocolate around here?
I believe they have it at ShopRite. I've seen it at ShopRite.
ShopRite. They didn't have it in Stop and Shop yesterday.
No, I don't think they carry, it depends, some Stop and Shops, but ShopRite definitely. But the
You-
Mexican chocolate, if you notice, it's in little circles.
Ah,
It's like a hard type
Wow.
of chocolate. It's not like a powder or anything like that.
no, I
It's
know. It's
like
a
the
circle.
Mexican hot chocolate. Yeah. So how
Well-
you make this mole is you could use chicken or pork. And you have to pan fry the meat that you're using. And then put that to the side. The sauce is what's really complicated. You have to almost deep fry everything. So my mom uses bananas, saltines, bread, ancho chilies, which is like the dried, really big red chilies. What else does she use? The Mexican hot chocolate, all sorts of stuff. And then she deep fries everything and puts it in the blender. And she doesn't blend it with water. She uses Coca-Cola.
Oh.
Yeah. So everything has its own little trick. And she blends that up. You bring it to a simmer. You throw the meat in, and then it should really thicken up once it's simmered and cooked through. And then she usually makes a side of rice and then corn tortillas on the side as well.
Oh.
All right. So here
I'm
is.
not making that one. You know what I decided?
Looks
I've never done
wonderful.
I've never done Mexican before, but I'll tell you, I think it's complicated. And I decided today I'm not going to do it again. Maybe I'll do one dish, but I won't do a dinner party of everything for like Cinco de Mayo like I'm doing today. I would have one thing I
Right.
would make that was Mexican because it
Yeah.
is a lot of chopping and a lot of standing on your
It
feet.
is a lot. So
Yeah. A lot of
I
work.
had already prepped all of the vegetables for the guacamole, but once you make it, it's pretty simple and it'll look something like that. I did leave some
Yeah.
chunks in there, but
All right,
it
you
looks
gave me
pretty. And then you just put chips on the side and you're ready to go.
you
That's
gave us renewed confidence in making guacamole.
it. Yes, and definitely use that tip with the plastic wrap. That is a very good tip. If you have any leftovers or if you're not going to have it until an hour or two later, it's a really good trick. Okay? I hope
Okay.
you enjoyed that. And
It was wonderful. It was
Yes.
really terrific. Thank you.
You do a
You
nice.
really, you really came across like a pro. I'm serious.
Hey,
You
coming
did.
from Doris,
You did.
that's really
Yeah,
good.
you did. You did.
all
Great
right.
job, Jacqueline.
Okay.
Thank you
All
Okay.
guys for showing up.
Thank you.
Happy Cinco de Mayo. Enjoy. I want you guys to bring me some Mexican food next time I see you, Virginia. And
Yeah.
I'll be wearing your hat.
All right. Yeah,
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye,
All
guys.
right. Thank you
Bye.
everyone for joining.
thank you.
Bye.